Good Shabbat, Boker Tov. Thank you for joining us. If you have a tallis, you're invited to join us right now, reminding us that just a few moments of mental preparation and focus can propel us into a new and different experience. Traditionally, Jewish people don't just start with, let's say, the Shema or the Amida or even the Aleinu, which is a very important prayer. We warm up a little bit. And one of the ways of warming up is by putting on a tallis. Another way is by singing a little melody. Ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 da. You've got it. Ya da 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 ya da 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 ya 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 da 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 da. Next part. Yadai da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 da. And perhaps now you have your tallis. The last few words are Asher Kitchano B'mitzvotav Vitzivanu Lahit Atef B'tzitzit, which means blessed are you, God, who's commanded us to enwrap ourselves in the tzitzit. And the tzitzit are on the far corners of the garment. I think this is a message to us that we're supposed to reach out to all those on the corners, on the periphery. And that's how we become more established Jewishly. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshana b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu litatef b'tzitzit. One of my favorite prayers is found here at the very beginning of the service. We're offering it today in English. If you happen to have the Siddur, it's on page number 99. In the Hebrew pronunciation, certain words end in a very particular way, with a breath out. I think you can hear that on my microphone. And in this prayer on page 99, the prayer talking of the soul, there's a sense that the breath of the speaker is going in and out. And remember, in Hebrew, breath and soul are related, calling to mind that God breathed into Adam, that first breath, which was the soul of life. So in Hebrew, it's easy to say, Ata vratah, Ata yitzartah, Ata nafachtah. And there's the exercise of the breath and the soul. But we're going to try it in English as well, with the word it. My God, the soul that you've given me is pure. You created it. You formed it. You breathed it into me. You watch over it when it is in me. In the future, you will take it from me but then restore it to me in the world that is coming. As long as this soul is within me, I thank you, Adonai, my God, God of my ancestors, ruler of all creation, master of all souls. Baruch atah Adonai, who restores the soul to the lifeless form. Especially on Shabbos, but perhaps during the days of the week as well, if we might pause just in our morning as we're preparing for our day and we've gotten dressed and we're ready to start our day, and listen and feel and hear the exchange of breath and remind ourselves that every breath is a gift from God, and every breath conveys something of an infinite quality, the soul, the spirit, that will change how you and I see ourselves as we walk through our daily hours. If so inclined, we now rise. On page 103, these are the early morning blessings, reminding us that we inhabit a world, and we share that world with others, with animals, with people. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lasech v'ivina lavchin ben yom uvein layla. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sha'asani b'tzalmo. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Sha'asani ben Chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Sha'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Pokeach Ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Malbish Arumim. Top of 104. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Matir Asurim. I want to pause for just a moment. Matir Asurim, which we just chanted, literally means, God, you break the bonds that bind people. And in the narrow sense of the Hebrew, it refers to literally unchaining those who are handcuffed, probably referring to ancient Jews in the time of the Roman Empire who were enslaved. But it can also mean to unbreak, to unbond, to loosen those bonds that tie us up inside ourselves of an emotional and a mental nature. And the very next blessing is Zokef, Zokef Kifufim. And again, in the narrow sense, Kifufim means somebody who is bent over. Perhaps the back is not working, and he or she might be walking through life, perhaps at an advanced age, kafuf, bent over. Zokef means to stand up straight. And there are days, once in a while, something may have gone on the day before, and I wake up in the morning, and my back is a little tight. I think that happens to most of us. Our backs are a little bit tight, and it takes a little while to get going a little bit. And I think, oh God, I need just a little bit of help. I need Zokef Kifufim today. But it might also be the case that people are bent over, not in a physical way, but something of the mind or the spirit. And these two blessings go hand to hand. And you and I are created in the image of God. How can you and I be inspired by hope, by love, to help break the bonds that might chain someone else, that might help lift somebody up? That's how we start our day. Thinking about how, having breathed and restored ourselves, we're going out into the world. We don't think only of ourselves. We start our morning, our very morning, thinking of the needs of everyone. Zokef Kifufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam roka haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sha'asa likol tzarki. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael bigvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael b'tif ara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten layoif koach. Israel. As we are seated, today and every day, may you, O God, look upon us, and may all who see us look upon us with eyes filled with kindness, love, and compassion. Again, the Jewish mindset of prayer is behavior. And as God is looking upon us with kindness and love and compassion, we call out, may all people emulate God by looking at each other with kindness and love and compassion. And we're not talking about love like Valentine's Day cards love. We're talking about mature love, which I would say is respect of other people. Blessed are you, God, who acts with kindly love to the people of Israel. On page 112, the Psalm for Shabbat. Mizmor shir liyom ha-Shabbat, tov lahodot l'Adonai, Olezamer l'shimcha elyon, Olezamer l'shimcha elyon, lahagid baboker chastecha, ve'emunatcha balelot, alei asor v'alei navel, alei higayon bechinor, mizmor shir liyom ha-Shabbat, Tov lodot l'Adonai, Olezamer l'shimcha elyon, Olezamer l'shimcha elyon, Ki simach Adonai b'foalecha, b'maaseh yadecha aranen, Magalo maaseh Adonai ma'od, hamku machshavotecha, Mizmor shir liyom ha-Shabbat, Tov lodot l'Adonai, Olezamer l'shimcha elyon, Olezamer l'shimcha elyon. Across the page. But you, Adonai, are exalted for all time. Surely your enemies, Adonai, surely your enemies will perish. All who commit evil will be scattered. As a wild bull raises up its horn, you raised my head high. You, O God, anointed my head with fresh oil. As my enemies gather against me, my gaze remains steady. For my ears listen and hear. The righteous flourish like the date palm, thrive like a cedar in Lebanon, planted in the house of Adonai. The righteous flourish in our God's courtyards. In old age they remain fruitful, still fresh and bountiful, proclaiming, Adonai is upright, my rock, in whom there is no flaw. Baruch She'amar, on page 122. Baruch She'amar, v'haya ha'olam, Baruch Hu, Baruch Oseh v'reshit, Baruch Omer v'oseh, Baruch Ozer Umekayim, Baruch Merachem al haaretz. Baruch mirachem al habriot. Baruch mishalem sachar tov lireov. Baruch chaylad v'kayom lanetzach. Baruch podeh umatzil. Baruch Shemo. The singular one who gives life to the world, the sovereign who is praised and glorified forever and ever. This is your great name. Baruch atah Adonai, sovereign, celebrated with songs of praise. Yachid chayho olamim, melech mishbachim mufar adei ad shemo hagadol. Baruch atah Adonai, melech melobatish bachot. We're now entering a little section of the service known as the verses of song, Pesukei de Zimra, verses of song, to get ready for the Borchu and Shema. The Borchu and Shema and the Amida are the main part of the service. But you don't just say, oh, hi, God. We need to warm up a little bit. So this section is preliminary. And there are phrases and there are passages, some from the book of Psalms. And right now I'm looking at page 128. If you have the Siddur, it's the lower left corner in the margin, page 128. Just one phrase to get ready for two psalms. A broken heart. Nothing is as whole as a broken heart. Nothing is as whole as a broken heart. Please take that into yourself as we prepare for two different psalms. Thinking of yourself, thinking of a family member, thinking of a neighbor, thinking of an acquaintance, recognizing someone whom you do not know at all. Nothing is as whole as a broken heart. The Ashrei on page 136. Ashrei yoshvei beitacha odelucha selo. Ashrei ha'am shekachalo. Ashrei ha'am sharonoi Elohov. Tehillah leDavid. Haramim chalahai ha'melech. Bavarcha shimcha le'olam voed. B'chol yom avarcheka. Ba'ahalala shimcha le'olam voed. Gadol Arnoim halal ma'od. V'lig dulato ein cheker. Dor lador yeshabach masecha. V'gvuratecha yagidu. Hadar kavod hodecha. V'divrei niflotecha asicha. Ve'ezuz norotecha yomeru. V'geduletecha asapreno. Zecherav tuvacha yabiu. V'tzid katacha yiranenu. Chanun vrachum aronoi. Erech apai mugdol chased. Tov aronoi lakol. Rachamav al kol ma'asav. Yoduch aronoi kol ma'asecha. V'chasidecha yevarchucha. Kavod malchutcha yomeru. V'gavoratecha yedaberu. Lahodia livnei hadam gevurotav. V'chavod hadar malchuto. Malchutcha malchut kol olamim. Umem shaltecha b'chol dor vador. Somech Adonai l'chol hanoflim. V'zokef l'chol hakfufim. There's that zokef kufufim again. The idea of helping those to stand up in this psalm as well. Now returning, Einei Cholelecha on page 136. Einei Cholelecha Yesaberu, V'ata noten lehem et achlam b'ito, Poteach et yadecha, Umasbiat l'chol chayratzon, Tzadik Adonai b'chol dirachov, V'chasid b'chol ma'asav, Karov Adonai l'chol kor'ov, L'chol asher kru'u v'emet, Ritzon Rev Ya'aseh, V'yet Shavatam Yishma V'yoshiem, Shomer Adonai et kol avav, V'yet kol harshaim Yashmid, Tilat Adonai Yidaber Pi, V'varek Habasar Shem Gachal Elam Voed, V'anachnu Nevarech Yah, Me'atav Yad Olam, Hallelujah. And now the top of page 141, we say the word hallelujah. Hallelujah is actually a composite of three different words. Halol means praise, U means all of you, and Yah is a part of God's name, Adonai. So Halol, U, Yah, all of you praise God. And some people have awakened this morning, and it's a great day. Body's working and all's fine. Some people have awakened this morning, and frankly, their backs or their legs or their shoulders may not be 100%. Some people have awakened this morning and their hearts are heavy. And others are blessed to be calm and at peace within themselves. All of us must sing. We all sing together. And I'm thinking about that phrase, nothing as whole as a broken heart. What must it take to be courageous enough to sing when you're somewhat broken? What does it take for somebody who is intact to listen and to hear to somebody else who's broken and he or she is still singing? We sing together. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, Bekadsha, Hallelujah, Bekiaozo, Hallelujah, Bigvuraotav, Hallelujah, Karagulo, Hallelujah, Beteka Shofar, Hallelujah, Benevel Vachinor, Hallelujah, Betof Umachol, Hallelujah, Bemini Virgov, Hallelujah, Betiltele Shema, Hallelujah, Betiltele Trua, Kol Hanshema Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Kol Anshamat Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Yalla la 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 la, Yalla la 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 la, Yalla la 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 la, Yalla la 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 la, Yalla la 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 la, Yalla la 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 la, Yalla la 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 la, la 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 la, Kol Anshamat Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Kol Anshamat Hallelujah, Hallelujah. We all sing. Every living one sings together. On page 145, the Nishmat Kol Chai reminding us again that we all sing together, and then a few moments perhaps of silent thought concerning the poem on page 145 and 146. We all sing together. Nishmat kol chai tevarech et shimcha Adonai Eloheinu v'ruach kol basar tefaer. You, O God, give voice to those who cannot speak. You, O God, free those who are bound up. You, O God, support those who fall. You, O God, straighten those who are bent over. Shulchan Morom v'kadosh Shemo v'chatuv ranenu tzadikim b'Adonai Laisharim Nova Tehillah, Befi Yesharim Tit Halal, Uvedivrei Tzadikim Tit Barach, Uvoshon Chasidim Tit Ramam, Uvekerev Kiddushim Tit Kadash, Uvamakalot Rivavot Amcha Beit Yisrael. David ben Yishai, Avdecha Meshichecha, top of 148. Yishtabach Shimcha, Lord Malkeinu, Ha'el HaMelech, HaGadol VaHaKadosh, B'Shamayim uVa'aretz, Ki Lecha, Noe Adonai, Eloheinu v'Eloi Avotenu v'Imotenu, Shir u'Shvacha, Halel v'Zimra, Ozu Memshala, Netzach Gedula u'Gvura, Tehila v'Tiferet, Kiddusha u'Malchut, Brachot v'Horaot, Me'ata v'Ad Olam, Baruch Atonai, El Melgadamatish, Fachat Elaodaot, Adona Niflaot, Habucher Bishrei Zimra, Melech El Cheolamim, Yitkadal v'Yitkadash, Shemei Rabba, Amen. Ba'alma divrach yirtei mechokotei, b'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayerecho beit Yisrael, b'agalav v'zman kariv imru, Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabba, mavarach l'olam v'mayo, Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpar v'yinaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh, v'yitalash medukudishab, Brechu leila min kol berchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiram b'yom v'imro. Amen. If so able, we rise. Borchu, page 149 and 150. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Voed. Top of 150. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, Yotzer or vorech hoshech, Oseh shalom, Uvaret hakol. Baruch Adonai, our God, sovereign of time and space, forming light and creating darkness, bringing harmony while creating all. In the left corner, it is not you alone, or we, or those others who pray. All things pray. All things pour forth their souls. The heavens pray, the earth prays, every creature and every living thing prays. In all life, there is longing. Creation is itself but a longing, a kind of prayer of the Almighty. We are seated. Turning to page 154. The first bracha speaks of creation of light. The whole universe is as a function of light. At a moment or an eternity before God said, "Let there be light," there was chaos and confusion. And at that moment, which was an eternity ago or just a brief flash, God said, "Let there be light," and light transformed all of the nothingness into purpose and beauty. And our lives unfold as a result of that. And that's why the first blessing in the morning service before the Shema and the first blessing in the evening service before the Shema speak of light. And now the second blessing, it's on page 154, speaks of love. And God's love is as much a part of reality as light itself. 154, you have loved us deeply, Adonai our God, and showered us with boundless compassion. Avinu Malkeinu, for the sake of our ancestors who trusted in you, and to whom you taught the laws of life, so may you be gracious to us and instruct us. Kind Creator, have compassion for us. Open our hearts so that we may understand, and with love discern, hear, and study. Observe, perform, and fulfill all the teachings of your Torah with love. Enlighten our eyes with your Torah. Attach our hearts to your mitzvot. Unify our hearts to love and revere your name so that we never lose hope. That's a prayer. May we unify our hearts. As we trust in your great, holy, awe-inspiring name, we will delight and rejoice in your deliverance. And some have a talit, and we gather the four corners, reminding ourselves to reach out and take by hand all those who are near and far. That's how we prepare for the Shema. Bring us safely from the four corners of the earth, and lead us in dignity to our land, for you are the God who effects deliverance. You have chosen us from all other tongues and peoples, always drawing us nearer to your name, that we may truly acknowledge you and lovingly proclaim your oneness. Baruch atah Adonai, who lovingly cares for the people of Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher b'mo Yisrael b'yahava. On page 155 of the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'yavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shachbecha v'kumecha u'kishartam la'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot ben einecha u'ktavtam al mezuzah beitecha u'v'sharecha. In a moment, the third paragraph of the Shema, and again, we're holding the talit, the tzitzit. What matters is not the garment itself. The garment is just a contrivance to give us a way of having close to us on our bodies and holding these strings. And these strings have been handed down to us in this particular manner of tying since the time of Moses. For 3,300 years, Jewish people have worn these special strings on their garments. Nobody else in the world wears these. Only us. And there's a great deal of symbolism. One thought. If you look at the edges, there are little coils. There are 39 coils in between the knots. 39 is the number in Hebrew that corresponds to the word Adonai Echad. Chai is 18, the word is life. 39 is God is one. On our strings, we're wearing the idea of the Shema, that God has always been with us since the time of Abraham and Sarah, all the way to the Exodus and thereafter and now. That's why we hold these tzitzit, as a reminder that Jewish people everywhere are bound together. Vayomer Adonai El Moshe Lemor Daber El Bnei Yisrael V'marta Lehem V'asu Lehem Tzitzit Al Kanfei Vigdeihem L'Dorotam V'natnu Al Tzitzit Al Kanaf B'til Techelet V'yalachem L'Tzitzit Uritem Oto Uschartem et kol mitzvot Adonai Vasitem otam V'lo taturo Acharei levavchem V'acharei einechem Asher atem zonim achareihem L'man tizkeru Vasitem et kol mitzvotai V'item kiddushim le'Elohechem Ani Elohechem Asher utzeiti etchem eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. On page 157 on the English side, the lower half of the page. You were always the help of our ancestors, a shield and deliverer for their descendants in every generation. You abide at the pinnacle of the universe. Your judgment and your righteousness extend to the ends of the earth. Blessed are the ones who attend to your mitzvot and place your teaching and words on their hearts. Truly, you are the ruler of your people, a mighty sovereign who takes up their cause. Truly, you were at the beginning and you will be at the end. Aside from you, we have no ruler who can redeem and deliver. The middle of page 158, the Michamocha. Michamocha, Boelim Adonai, Michamocha, Nedar B'Kodesh, Noratilot, Ol Seifele, Shira Chadasha, Shibchu Geulim, L'Shimcha Sefat Hayam, Yachad Kulam Hodovim Lechuv Yamro, Adonai Yimloch Le'olam Va'ed, Tzur Yisrael, Kama Be'ezrat Yisrael, Ufadechinu Mecha, Yehodava Yisrael, Go Aleinu, Adonai Tzvot Shemo, Kiddush Yisrael. As we rise, the Amida begins on page 159 and 160. We've been practicing a very small line in just a little bit of a whisper. You might call it a stage whisper. We begin with a stage whisper, then we continue on aloud, and then we turn silent. So the whisper is to catch your own attention. Singing aloud is to be part of the community, and then in private thought. Just a little practice. Remember, 3 small steps backwards. Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth, forward, may speak your praise. Once more. Adonai, open my lips, 3 steps forward, that my mouth may speak your praise. If you know the Hebrew, it's 3 steps back. Adonai, Sifatai, Tiftach, forward, Fi, Yagi, Tilatecha. So the whisper sounds like this. Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may speak your praise. Adonai, Sifatai, Tiftach, Fi, Yagi, Tilatecha. We'll begin that, and then we'll sing aloud on 159 and 160, and then a few moments of silence until 166 if you're following the traditional prayer, or perhaps compiling your own private prayer. Whisper in small steps. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Vanora El Elyon Gamel Chasadim Tovim Vekonei Hakol Vezocher Chastei Avodim Ahot Umevi Goel Livnei Bneihem Laman Shemo B'Yahava Melech Ozer Pokenu Mashiach Umagen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ufoket Sarah Atagi Borle Olam Adonai Mechaye Meitim Ata Rav Loshia Mechalkel Chayim B'Chesed Mechaye Meitim B'Rachamim Rabim Somek Noflim V'Rofei Cholim O Matir Asurim O Mekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Micha Mocha Bal Gevurot O Mido Melach Melech Memit O Mechaye O Matzmiach Yeshua Pneman Atalachayot Meitim Baruch atah Adonai Mechayei HaMeitim. We have the full Kaddish. We're pleased that Neil Sass is joining us for the full Kaddish. And then we shall open the Ark and remove the Torah for a little bit of brief Torah study. The full Kaddish is found on page 167.
Iskadal Iskadal Shemay Rabal Bialma Dibra Kurusev Yamlet Makusev Kun of Yamakun Yedika Basis Royal Baka Always Makari Yamaru Amen Yeheshme Rabal Magorach the Olam Meo Maya Isparach Istabak Isparvis Romavius Nasavius Adarvis Alevis Alosh made the Kudashop Reaku Lay Lami Kobra Kasa Vashirasa Tushbakasa Vadekhamasa Dami Rumbi Homovi Yamru Amen Tiskabel Salosa Hundus Ahon Takobi Yisrael Kadam Avu Hon Tibismai Yamaru Amen Yeheslam Rabba Menshemai Vachayim Alen of Yaka Yisrael Yamaru Amen O Seshalom Bimramov Hu Yaseshalom Alen of Yaka Yisrael Yamaru Amen.
And now we turn to the opening of the Ark on page 168. If you are so able, you're invited to rise in your own homes as the Ark is opened in preparation of removing the Torah, the middle of page 168. Vayehi bin Sawa Haaron Vayomer Moshe Kuma Adonai, ve'afutzu oevecha, ve'anusu misanecha mipanecha, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, udavar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah, Le'amo Yisrael B'kedushato. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo. Gadol Adonai Tinra Mamash Moyachdav. Lecha Adonai Agedula ve'agevura v'tiferet ve'anetzach ve'hod kichol b'shamayim u'va'aretz, kichol b'shamayim u'va'aretz. Adonai hamamlacha v'minaseh l'chol rosh. Romemo, Romemo, Adonai Eloheinu, Ve'ishtachavum, Ve'ishtachavum, La'adam Raglav Kadoshu. Romemo, Romemo, Adonai Eloheinu, Ve'ishtachavum, Ve'ishtachavum, Le'ar kodsho, ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. We are seated. We have Torah before us, and the parsha for this week, if you have a chumash before you, is known as Baha'alotecha. And the Torah reading today corresponds to page 826, just a very brief message. But I want to start first with a bit of an introduction. Hopefully many of us know and remember Danielle and Josh Eisen. And Danielle and Josh have been members of the shul now for, I think, about 4 years. And they've come into the shul on many occasions, and they've sung, and they've got beautiful voices, and there's such a great spirit within them, such a great ruach, a spirit. And recently, Danielle's mother, Joy Sandler, and I were having a conversation, and Joy has a breadth of Jewish knowledge. And so she volunteered to participate in our service today. So she has a message that she's going to share with us in just a minute. She has what you might call a Devar Torah, a little bit of an introductory word about Torah, which we will share in just a minute or two. And instead of my chanting a little bit from the Torah and a small excerpt thereafter from the Haftorah, Joy is going to share that today. So again, if you have the Chumash and you're following along, it's going to be a brief passage, which I'll announce once more on page 826. But just as a precursor to what Joy's going to say, a moment ago, we opened the ark, and David helped me, and he took the Torah out, and we sang, Vayhi bin so Aharon, Vayomer Moshe, which is a very traditional melody for Ashkenazic Jewish people. Vayhi bin so means, and here comes the ark is going out, and it's speaking of, in the ancient times, during Moses and Joshua and thereafter, when the ark would travel forward. That's Vayehi Binso Haaron. And Joy's going to share a thought about Vayehi Binso in just a moment. And so now, Joy Sandler.
Shabbat Shalom. The parsha for this Shabbat is Bahal Lotacha, which means you are going up or ascending. It refers to Aharon, the high priest, and Aharon's son, lighting the lights of the menorah and allowing the sparks to go up. The parsha starts out with Moshe going into the Holy of Holies, the special room in the temple, to talk to God and to get the final instructions on the menorah. The menorah had to be made completely of pure gold and was to be sculpted and hammered intensely. In Hebrew, it was called Mikshah Zahav. It took great effort to make the menorah perfect. God gave the honor of kindling the menorah to Aharon, a mitzvah which he cherished. The Kohanim had the mitzvah of kindling the menorah every morning. This mitzvah is lasting forever, as Aharon's descendants, the Chashmonaim, instituted the permanent mitzvah of lighting the Hanukkah lamps. The menorah had 7 branches, 3 on the left, 3 on the right, and a center branch. The 3 on one side are considered to represent Torah learning Jews, as they dedicate their lives to studying Torah. The 3 on the other side represent Jews that go to work to support the Torah scholars. Both are very important. Parshat Behal Lotacha also relates how the Levi'im were initiated into service. The Levites who were between 35 and 50 years old were to do the main work, while those who were 25 to 30 years old were to go through a training process. Rashi teaches that one should spend at least 5 years immersed in the study of Torah to give oneself a chance to succeed in it. The section I will read today includes the verse Vayehi Binso Haaron from the prayer recited at the beginning of the Torah service. As the ark that contains the Torah is opened, we recite these words. When the ark was to set out, Moses would say, "Advance, O Lord, may your enemies be scattered, and your foes flee before you." The prayer continues with this verse from Isaiah. For Torah shall come forth from Zion, the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. The Aron means ark and refers to the Ark of the Covenant that carried the tablets as the Israelites wandered in the desert for 40 years. The ark that holds the Torah scrolls today is considered a reconstruction of the original Aron. The first verse of the prayer, Vayehi Binso Haaron, recalls the time when the Torah was first given to the Jewish people. The second verse from Isaiah speaks of a world to come when all people will recognize God's sovereignty, when swords will be beaten into plowshares and peace will reign. The verses together represent 2 aspects of Torah. The first describes how the Torah directed the newly freed Israelites, accompanying them as they moved from camp to camp in the wilderness. It guided them as they emerged into peoplehood. The second verse reveals a second aspect. The Torah is a continuous and ongoing process of revelation. In the blessings we recite before the Torah is read, we bless God as the one who gives Torah, not only in the past, but also in the present. The Torah recalls our past, directs our present, and guides our future. We are blessed that the Torah has given the Jewish people a rich heritage. Torah continues to be a guiding light for us and can sustain and enrich us. We are part of an ongoing legacy, remembering our tradition, living Torah now and for generations to come, L'dor Vador. Though the lives of the Jewish people are constantly changing, the Torah can help to transform and guide us. This parsha teaches us that Torah can help us to ascend closer to God and to bring light to the world, today and for generations to come. I will now read a selection from the Torah portion Baha'alotacha, Numbers chapter 10, verses 33 through 36.
Shkoyach Joy, and then in a moment we'll have the Torah reading leading right into the Haftorah, and the Haftorah will be found on page 838, just a few brief sentences. So page 826, 3 sentences, page 838, 3 sentences.
Vayis'u mehar Adonai derech sheloshet yamim varon prid Adonai nosea lifnehem derech sheloshet yamim latur lahem menucha vanan Adonai alehem yomam v'nosam min hamachaneh vayehi Binsoa Haron vayomer Moshe Kuma Adonai V'yafutzu oivecha V'yanusu misanecha mipanecha Uvnucho Yomar Shuva Adonai Rivavot Alfei Yisrael. The Haftarah Beha'alotacha, which is also read on Hanukkah, is from Zechariah. I will now chant chapter 4, verses 1 through 3. Vayashov hamalach hadover bi vayeireni keish Asher Yeor Mishnato Vayomer Elai Ma'ata Ro'eh Vaomar Ra'iti Vihine Minorat Zahav Kula Vigulach al roshach Vishiva nerotecha alecha Shiva vishiva mutzakot lanerot Asher al roshach Ushnaim zeitim alecha Echad Mibin Hagula Ve'achad Al Smola.
Again, Shkoyach to Joy. When somebody participates in the service, we don't say good job, because being part of a service, part of a prayer community, part of a group, isn't a job. It's an opportunity to give and share. So we say Yishar Koach, which literally means may you be strengthened to go on into the future in an upright manner. And now we offer a Mishaberach, a prayer of healing. If you know of someone who is ill, please feel free to mention that person's name aloud in your own home. We were thinking of our family members, our friends, our neighbors, our acquaintances, people of all backgrounds, people whom we love, and we include them in our prayers for healing. Mishaber Rachavotenu, I'm sorry, Kovetenu Rachel Yabrech, Kol Kolim, Ha'el Bezakolelet, Mosharon Ben Fega, Zorak Ben Leah, Miki Bat Cecilia, Elea Bat Aviva, Velvel Ben Ruth, Manakanite, Anthony Arnold, Minyalka Bat Sarah, Mordechai Ben Zelda, George Patinos, Pat Cockrell, Wendy Pfeiffer, Tom Bastoni, Avi Moshe Mendelchana, Rivka Bat Esther, Yudhisliba Bat Fega, Shoshana Bat Mili Fesach, Malcolm Esther Scheindel, Roxanne Anthony, Yaakov Merchana, George Barton, Louis Rodriguez, Miriam Abashi, Smith Abashi, LaClaudia Thomas, Beth De Palma, Hamuda Bengisha, Pesha Leia, Hanasara, Burton, Tema Badina, Yudis Baz, Laverne, Bet Kol Eile, Mehera for Shemin Israel, Hash, Amen. God, as you blessed our mothers and our fathers, reach forth and bless all of our ill ones, those known to us, those unknown to us, those known to you. Extend your hand, your touch into the body and the spirit, the heart and the mind of all those who are ill, all those who are afflicted. Come close with your gentle and creative presence. Place the touch that fashioned the universe itself upon each and every one of your children. Strengthen them all. Lift them up. Assist them to walk forward. Assist them to feel strength, health, and vitality. Let there be a decrease of anxiety and fear, and an increase of hope, of courage, of strength, of confidence. May this day and the next be a time of walking forward into a new path of hope and optimism. Bless all of your children, and we all say, Amen. Prior to lifting the Torah, on page 177, you're asked to rise. A prayer for our nation on page 177. The lower left corner. Creator and protector of all, watch over our armed forces and all those entrusted with their safety, as they daily put their lives at risk to protect us and our freedoms. Be with them in times of danger. Give them courage to act with honor and dignity, as well as the insight to do what is right in your eyes. Fill us all with the gifts of love and courage, that we may create a world that reflects your glory. May we each respond to the charge of your prophet. For what does Adonai demand of you but to act justly, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God? May the one who brings peace on high bring peace and prosperity to our world and keep us in safety. And let us say, Amen. Our prayer for Israel on page 178, the first line in Hebrew followed by the English paragraph. Avinu Shabbat Sur Yisrael v'goalo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Tzmichat Geulatenu. Avinu Shabbat stronghold and redeemer of the people Israel, bless the state of Israel, the beginning of our redemption. Shield it with your love. Spread over it the shelter of your peace. Guide its leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Deliver them. Crown their efforts with triumph. Bless the land with peace and its inhabitants with lasting joy. And let us say, Amen. And now the Torah is lifted for Hagba and Glila. V'zot ha'torah asher sa Moshe livnei b'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Ya die 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 ya die 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 ya die 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 ya die 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 ya die die ya die die ya die 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 ya die 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 ay die 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 ya die die ya die 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 ya die 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 ya die 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 ya die die ya die die ya die 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 ya die 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 ya die 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 ya die 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 ya die 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 ya die 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 die. Page 184, return the Torah to the Aron. The last three lines of the first stanza. Eitz chayim hi l'machazikim ba v'tomcheha me'ushar deracheha darchei noam v'chol netivoteha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh chadesh yameinu chadesh yameinu kekedem. Please remain standing. The Aleinu on page 205. Page 205. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol latet gedula liotzer breshit shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot velo samanu k'mishpachot adama shelo sam chelkenu kahem v'goralenu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei amlochim hakadosh baruch hu shehu noteh shamayim v'yosed haaretz umoshav yikaro b'shamayim imal ushchinatu zo v'gavei meromim hu Eloheinu einod emet malkeinu evezulato kakatu b'torato v'yadata yom v'ashevota el levavecha ki Adonai huwa Elohim b'shamayim mimal v'al haaretz mitachat einod. Kakatu b'toratecha Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed v'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz Bayom hahu Yihye Adonai echad Ushemo echad. And Now, in a moment, the mourner's Kaddish, and we will mention the names of our beloved ones. And if you know of someone else and you wish to include that person's name, please mention that person's name aloud in your own home. As a congregation, we join in prayer. As a congregation, even though temporarily we are exercising precautions because we value life so greatly and we have withdrawn temporarily, we are always a part of each other and we always stand next to each other when people are offering Kaddish and we remember their sorrow. For as a community, when one person is in sorrow, we're all affected by sorrow. We remember with great love, and we see in our hearts all of these wonderful people as sources of inspiration. Jules A. Sinclair, William Handman, Joseph Peretz, Rosie Dannenberg, Moshe Berger, Florence Kleinerman, Alexander Mazel, Isidore Back, Paul Braun, Lee Hall, Natalie Lichtenfeld, Bob Whitlock, Harry Meisler, Harry Rips, Edith Goldhar, Tuba Elias, Jeanette Newmark, Hava Dasa Addis Rakwitz, Abe Fisher, Stella Sussman, Morris Gutlow, Annie Tobin, remembering Leon Eplin, Paul Buckstein. Yit Gadal, V'yit Kadash, Shema Rabba. Amen. Be'olma, Divra, Chirute, V'yamlich Malchute, B'chayechon, V'yom Mechon, U'v'chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, U'v'zman Kariv, V'imeru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mivarach La'alam Olalmei Olmaya. Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yithadar V'yit'aleh V'yithalal Shmei Dekudisha Brichu La'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Da'amiran Ba'olma V'imru. Amen. Yehi Shalama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru. Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru. Amen. May there be peace. And you notice that sometimes when people take a step back at the end of the Kaddish, they bend to the left and to the right. I think we're supposed to be noticing people to our sides. Even our bodies pay attention to somebody who may be in another part of the room. And we're supposed to go up to somebody and say, I'm sorry for your loss. And my heart joins yours. And our love is with you. We're grateful to Ernie and Elaine Tacky for bringing flowers onto our bima this Shabbos. They're remembering their beloved son, Alexander Mazel, and they're beautifying our shul with these flowers on our bima. And we're grateful. And it's a reminder that all of us have many different ways of bringing beauty into a shared place as to how we remember our loved ones. May we all have the strength to bring beauty into a shared space, inspired by the memories of our beloved departed. a few brief reminders, and then we'll conclude. The big announcement, hopefully you all know this, is that next week we are open for anyone who is vaccinated. Next Friday and next Saturday, we'll be in the big sanctuary. People can spread around. Next Friday, next Saturday, Fridays 6 to 7. And it will be a Shir Shabbat. Danielle and Josh Eisen will be singing from the Bima with their beautiful voices. And Saturday is a regular davening, woohoo, in the building. If you're vaccinated, come on in. Fridays and Saturdays from now on, we're very excited about that. And we'll continue to be live streaming for those who are perhaps unable or not yet fully comfortable coming into the building. Tonight, Zoom Havdalah is at 8 o'clock. Monday, the office is closed for Memorial Day, no Tanakh study. Tuesday, we have Adult Hebrew on Zoom at 3 o'clock. Adult Hebrew, if you don't know what I'm talking about, give me a call, and I can guide you to learn Hebrew. It's fun and it's simple. That's Tuesday at 3 o'clock. Tuesday at 5 o'clock, the spirit topic is, which of your ancestors inspires you? That's a spiritual discussion. That's Tuesday at Zoom at 5:30. Thursday, story time for toddlers on Zoom. And I think that's it for right now. So we'll conclude with the Adon Olam, and perhaps you have wine and or bread at home, and we can do Kiddush and Amotzi together. For now, we're on page 211. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Lietz Nasa V'chevtzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'yachare Kichlot HaKol Lavado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh V'hu Yiyeh B'tif Ara v'hu echad v'ein sheni lamshil lachbira b'li reshit b'li tachlit v'lo ha'oz v'hamisra v'hu eli v'chai goali v'tzor chevli b'yet tzara v'onisi omanosli menad kosi Biyom ekra biyado afkid ruchi biyet ishan biyaira vimruchi gaviyati Adonai li velo ira. And as I said, if you want to join us for Kiddush and maybe Hamotzi, we have a little bit of wine and or grape juice, as you may choose. Kiddush means to make time holy. And since we enjoy drinking wine, we drink a little wine. We make a toast to the idea and the ceremony of making time holy. That's how wine becomes part of Kiddush. But Kiddush originates in its own way, a declaration of making time holy. Gadiel? V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam brit olam beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti liolam ki sheishet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz uvayom hashvi Shabbat v'inafash. God bless the seventh day, made it holy. Al kain berach l'noitim Shabbat b'kacheu savrei Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam borei perei agafen. Sir, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. David and I are going to hang around for a little bit, so if you're in the area and want to stop by just to say hi and visit, we'll be under the front portico of the shul until about 12:30 or so. And best part, folks, come on back to shul starting next Friday, next Saturday. vaccinated, no need to wear a mask. If you wish to, you are certainly welcome to wear a mask, but no need because you're vaccinated. May God always bless you, and may you know that you are deeply loved and cared for. And Litrot, until we see each other again, may that be very soon. For now we say, good Shabbos. May God bless you.